All right, I have an intro for you. Ready? Can we start this? All right. Today, I'm chatting with the man who documented the monarch migration over the Gulf of Mexico, confirming that they migrate to Mexico via hopping on oil rigs. He is an esteemed entomologist and lepidopterist with over 705 published manuscripts, 5 of which are in book format, with his newest book, My Butterfly Muses, being available at Claters in Baton Rouge. And it kind of recollects his most exciting life stories with butterflies. He's a man who encountered the mystical wonders of the world, interacted with the unimaginable, and devoted many decades of his life to nature conservation and education through none other than his muse, the butterfly. Today I have the pleasure of sitting and chatting with Dr. Gary Noel Ross. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you, Sam.
How wonderful. Thank you for having me in your space so we can sit and talk.
Thank you for inviting me.
So, I guess the first question, why butterflies? Why should people be interested?
I think of all the animals on this planet we call Earth, the one that has garnished the most attention from cultures, not just contemporary cultures, but cultures going back hundreds, thousands of years, is the butterfly. Virtually all cultures have taken the butterfly image and the butterfly mysterious life cycle and elevated it to a point way above all other animals. They made it the paragon of the natural world. And they're gorgeous.
Yeah.
But they also have baggage, good baggage associated with them. And that is because their life cycle is so complicated, it becomes almost magical to people. And when people learned that a butterfly does not give, mama and papa butterflies don't give rise to butterfly babies, they give rise to what they used to be called as worms. Disgusting little creepy crawler things, munching away on plants, pooping on plants, some even stinging. And then they enter a stage where it looks like they die. And are shrouded in some sort of cloth or material. And then instead of just fading away and dissolving away, that cloth or that material, that chrysalis, that cocoon, if you will, cracks. And out comes not a wriggly worm, not a gnarly looking creature, but something that has the wings of an angel. And those wings are usually not clear, they're not white, they're colored in the most beautiful kaleidoscopic colors one can imagine. And after an hour or so, these creatures take to the heavens as if they're returning to the heavens.
There's something about them.
Me.
Yeah.
That got me. And it has gotten many, many, many thousands of people over thousands of years.
Wow.
So that butterflies have become the esteemed creatures of the natural world. I call them the paragons of nature, the paragon of nature.
Wow. It's so interesting because that just got me too. The same process with taking my own butterflies. We just released 3 of them this morning.
Wow.
Whenever I was talking to the kids at the school, that's one thing I would tell them. I'd say, I put them on my finger. And I go and I release them and they fly away. And you put them on your finger? And I was like, just on my finger like that. And I'd show them pictures and they'd freak out. And I think it's interesting how accessible that is.
Right. Everyone on planet Earth can plant a butterfly garden.
Yeah.
Can encourage butterflies to actually come into their garden. And even if you live in a penthouse in the middle of Manhattan, in New York City, and you're 100 stories up in the air, if you plant the right things, you can get butterflies into that little rooftop garden. You're not going to get a lot of them, but you're going to get a few.
Wow.
And I know that as a fact.
Yeah.
Because there is a club called the New York City Butterfly Club, and they advocate for people, regardless of where they live, to plant,
Yeah.
to encourage butterflies.
I thought that would be my last question of this interview, but now it's coming up now. Is that all it is? Is that the catalyst for change of the monarch population? Is it planting milkweed? And that's for monarchs, but for butterflies in general. All
For butterflies in general, one of the things you have to ask yourself, if you're going to encourage butterflies to come into your garden, why would they come? They come close to your house. Why would they come? Butterflies don't care about us. They don't have eyes that can see us as we see. They have very complex compound eyes that see sections of it. So they don't see as you and I see. So if you really want to get a butterfly to come to you, a butterfly is not going to be a friend of yours.
Yeah.
You can't do things to become friends of theirs. Why would they come to your garden? Two reasons. One, they're coming for food.
Yeah.
And the reasons are, what do they need in this life? They need food, and that food is basically nectar. From plants. Or in some cases, even pollen from plants.
Or sap.
But most of the time, or sap from trees.
Sure.
Usually it's a liquid, but it can be a solid like pollen. So they need food. And the other thing is that they need a place to reproduce.
Yeah.
They have to produce babies eventually, or else when they die, that's it. There'll be nothing left. So they have to reproduce. And what do they reproduce on? They reproduce on plants, and very, very specific plants usually. Almost every species of butterfly has a plant or a group of plants,
Really?
which may be a family of plants, or in some cases, several families of plants that they are restricted to for laying their eggs and producing their babies. They're
Really?
not going to simply lay their eggs on grass or anything else green. It has to be a plant that is producing a specific chemical that you and I basically cannot detect.
Yeah.
But they can detect, and they know this is the right thing that my babies need for nourishment. So over the years, we have learned
The plant systems.
what plants
Yeah.
do that for what species of butterflies. Not for all species, but at least for those species in North America and in Europe and in much of Asia. We know what most of the common butterflies lay their eggs on, and what those plants are, and what those chemicals are. And when it comes to the monarch, it is a family of plants, and that family of plants is called the milkweed family.
Milkweed.
And so anything in that particular family produces certain compounds that are, again, undetectable to you and I, but it is very, very detectable to monarchs, and may be detectable from several hundred feet away. They don't have to get right up to it to detect it, and they home in on it. So if you plant milkweeds of various kinds in your garden, and you're in an area where their monarchs are known to occur, you are guaranteed to get mamas laying eggs. And once you get babies being produced on that plant, and those babies become adult butterflies, butterflies have tiny brains, but they do have brains. And those brains are capable of memorizing and remembering where there is a plant for their babies. And so they will hang around your garden. And there's one particular butterfly, it's not a monarch, but it's the Gulf Fritillary, which is the the Louisiana state butterfly right now. It will hang around for its entire lifetime in your garden.
Really?
And its host plant is, again, one family of plants called passion flowers. You plant a passion flower vine, and it's a vine. And there are many types, and the plants produce many very colorful flowers. And we have some native ones. One of the common names for the native ones is Maypop. And if you plant Maypop, many old timers here in Louisiana know the term Maypop. People, you can make a jam from the fruit of it. But you put a Maypop in your garden and you get a Gulf Fritillary to lay its eggs on that plant. When that next generation comes out, those young butterflies are not going anywhere.
Really?
I'll show you that in my garden this a little later. I have a garden full of Gulf Fritillaries right now.
So are they a non-migratory species?
And they are a non-migratory species. And they die back in the butterflies die back in the winter. However, some of them that in New Orleans, then the freezes are not severe, will then survive the winter and move back up here so that we can get a residential population of them through the summer and the fall. But the fall of the year, right now, mid-September to mid-October, is a prime time for these butterflies. And I have one single passion vine in my garden, and it has dozens of Gulf Fritillaries flying around it all day long.
Yeah, I'm excited
because they have big eyes, bigger than normal eyes, and brains that are a little bit bigger than normal, and they are the crows of the butterfly world, because crows are the intelligent birds of the bird world, the intelligent species of the bird world. Gulf Fritillaries are the intelligent butterfly species of the butterfly world. Now, Gulf Fritillaries are related to other kinds of butterflies that are basically tropical, and one of which I wish we had in Louisiana, but we don't. But if you go to southern Texas and you go to southern Florida, you can find it. It's called the zebra longwing, or the zebra heliconian. Its memory is bigger than that of the Gulf Fritillary, and it is a fantastic butterfly, and it's people know that if they plant passion vines, they're going to get this beautiful butterfly in their garden. And it doesn't die in the winter, so it stays, and it lives fairly long. It can live a few months.
Wow.
And so it's a long-lived butterfly, but you have to go to southern Florida or southern Texas to find it. I wish we had, as our climate warms, we may eventually get them here as residents here, and I hope we do.
Interesting. And so, is the monarch a unique species that migrates, or do a lot of butterflies migrate as well?
No, not many. Most butterflies do not migrate. Okay. The reason the monarch migrates is because it's a tropical species that started off in the tropics. In other words, its origin is in Mexico and tropical Central America. But it has moved upwards into the United States because milkweed is not necessarily tropical. There are species of milkweed that do grow in temperate regions, like many of our native ones, and milkweed will grow all the way up into southern Canada.
Sure.
And so the monarch has taken advantage of having a host that is much more widespread than it is. So it is following its host's distribution plant up north. However, because it has a tropical pedigree, it can't survive the winters there. So it must move south in the fall or else face extinction. So it moves south, and it moves south in spectacular numbers and goes to a place that is even more spectacular than it.
Sure.
It is, because it goes by the hundreds of thousands, and in some years by the millions, and initially perhaps close to 1 billion at a time, into one small general area up in the mountains of western Mexico, west of Mexico City. And hangs around all winter in trees way up at 8, 10,
Fir
9.
trees.
Fir trees up for throughout the entire winter, and then when March comes, close to the spring equinox, they mate, lay eggs, and start moving northward. And generally by
March.
Autumn, in March, and by the end of summer, they have gone through 3 or 4 short-lived generations.
Short as in 3 weeks?
And because each generation will last only about 3 weeks, so it'll go through 3 short generations. Adults die, but when their babies mature, they move farther north. But by mid-August, mid-September, they stop laying their eggs and start harboring all of their nutrients as fat and that allows them the energy to start flying south. And many of them will fly from New England and even southern Ontario in Canada, in eastern Canada, all the way to central Mexico. And the longest one we have tagged is right close to 3,000 miles of flight distance. And we know butterflies don't fly in one distance, in a straight line. So there's no telling how far that butterfly flew. But we know he was tagged in Ontario, and we know he was picked up in central Mexico.
Wow.
So we know that as a fact.
Yes.
That's a fact that can't be disputed.
Wow.
And one of the projects that is very common throughout the United States and Canada is tagging monarchs.
Sure.
So that each year people go down into central Mexico and see if they can find tagged ones. And we can find tagged ones. I don't think we've ever exceeded 3,000 miles. I think that's the longest journey. But we have many, 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 many other butterflies that have flown shorter journeys that have been picked up,
Sure, sure. Just not all the way from southern Ontario to...
Right. Now, I have tagged some when I was on the oil and gas production platforms. I've tagged some monarchs, but none of those have ever been picked up in Mexico. But the chance of that, when you're looking for a few, because each year no more than a few hundred to maybe 1,000 or 2,000 monarchs are tagged from the whole country.
Yes.
The chance of finding one of those in hundreds of thousands
from somebody looking to tag and to receive the tag, it's rare.
It's almost impossible. I'm surprised we find any tagged monarchs whatsoever, but we do.
Yeah.
And scientists have learned to pay people, little kids, to go into the colonies and look for tagged monarchs that maybe have fallen to the ground, and they can earn a few pennies by turning it into the scientists. And you might say, well, maybe the kids are turning in fictitious. No, you can't. You can't fake that.
So I haven't looked into the tagging at all yet. The tagging, it's a paper tag.
It's a tiny little, something like you might get on a piece of fruit, identifying it as an organic or a price or something, one of those little sticky adhesive kinds of tags, and it wraps over the wing edge of a monarch's, of the wing of a butterfly. And it's fairly secure, and doesn't add that much to the weight. A lot of people say, well, it probably slows them down in flight. Well, I'm not so sure it interferes. It certainly adds a little weight, but monarchs are always losing scales which weigh things. So I would not say it's hindering their flight in any way.
How is it attached to them? Is it?
It's adhesive. It's got adhesive.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
And certain schools and certain organizations manufacture these and make them available to people free of charge. I don't know, some organizations may charge, but I don't think, I don't know, certain universities don't charge.
Okay, and these tags, they have a specific number on them,
They have a number and a a website or a phone number or something that you call or go online and report, and that has been recorded somewhere, because when you order, say, 100 tags to tag, there's a record of those numbers that have been given you. So when you report so when you find a tag butterfly and you respond to that number they're giving you on that little tag, they're going to be able to tell you precisely who ordered that tag and where that tag came from.
Yes. Into some database.
It's in a database. It's a big database. And today that's fairly easy.
Do you know what the name of the database is? Or is that something I should look into? Okay, interesting. So let's talk about your golf oil rig adventures. I read your article. We'll post it on the video so people can go and read it as well. You read in a newspaper that one of the old cooks on the oil rig
on a supply boat.
On a supply boat.
It was a lady, and she was a cook on a supply boat to certain oil rigs and gas production rigs and drilling rigs and production platforms.
Yes.
And south of Cameron, and she heard that around October 17th every year, certain of the rigs, the drilling rigs and the production platforms would get inundated with thousands and thousands of monarch butterflies. So much so that many people on the rigs, on those structures, couldn't do their work. They had to take fire hoses and just hose them off because they were interfering.
And the drill bits and all,
And I heard this and I thought, oh wow, this is extraordinary information, because at the time no one believed that monarchs could fly at night. And the woman reported that these butterflies came in at dusk, stayed through the night, and then took off again the next morning. So no one believed they could fly at night, and no one believed that they could fly over large bodies of water. And these rigs were going from 70-something miles to 100-something miles
off the coast.
And the Cameron Parish coast has the highest offshore oil production population in the state, and that's where she was. And so I contacted her and figured out, through conversations, she said she was working for the Marathon Oil, was her employer. And they were headquartered in Lafayette. So whenever, I was still teaching school, I was working full time at this point. And so whenever I had an off day, I drove over to Lafayette and went to the Marathon Oil building, and they said, Petroleum Helicopters services all these rigs, and we do have supply boats for food and stuff like that, but I would advise you to contact Petroleum Helicopters, because they're the ones who fly people on and off these structures. So they're fortuitously found in Lafayette as well. So I went to the Petroleum Helicopters office, and they said, well, how interesting, because two of our pilots are bird enthusiasts. And they are very much into bird migration, and because many neotropical birds use the platforms for resting spots in their migrations in the fall and again in the spring, these people would be aware. And I said, well, who are these people? They said, well, here they are, and they live in Lafayette too.
Right down the street.
Right down the street. So anyway, to make a long story short, I contacted them, and they said, oh yes, we're familiar with this. we've seen some of this, and we've talked to people who have done it. Would you be interested in going out to one of these? And I said, which oil companies are the main ones that have platforms that seem to have been most popular with the butterflies landing on? They said, well, Unical. UNOCL, the Unical Oil Petroleum.
California-based?
A California-based company. And they said, they have an office here. Why don't you go talk to them? So all of this was done in one day.
Really?
So I went and talked to them, and they said, you know, publicity like this would be spectacular for us, because we have used the bird landings as good publicity, because it's nice to be able to show people who doubt that we should question whether we should be having all these man-made structures off our coast. We can show them that, hey, these platforms are acting as resting sites for many of the birds who are migrating south in the fall and then returning north in the winter. If we can show that butterflies are doing this too, Monarch in particular is doing this too, this would be good publicity. So we would be very happy to host you. So I arranged it. And I arranged with the Moody Institute of Science outside of Galveston, Texas, and California, to accompany me with a cinematographer. 16 millimeter, they were shooting on 16 millimeter film then, and he and his crew came out and they flew us there, and we didn't get a mass sighting of hundreds and hundreds, but we did get quite a few monarchs, and because it was such an exciting thing to the people who were working on the platforms, that we were put in contact with all the helicopter pilots that were flying in the Gulf, that whenever they landed on a platform, and if there was any record of monarchs flying in and flying out, to let us know. So over the years, I did this every fall, over the years, for I think maybe 5 years or 6 years.
This was 1992?
92, and that caused me, precipitated me retiring from teaching so I could spend more time involved with my research. So I retired from teaching. That meant I had a lot of time on my hands. So every fall, every October, and by the way, it may not have been exactly October 17th, but it was very, very close to it. And the reason is because the butterflies would always accompany a cold front that came through. And generally in mid-October in South Louisiana, we're getting almost every 2 weeks or so a cold front that comes through. And you're likely to hit it around October 17th. And the butterflies wait for the air to calm down a bit and the skies to clear, and they sail in. And when nightfall comes, they rest on these platforms at a mainly Unical. By getting information from all the helicopter pilots that were flying in the Gulf, I learned that most of the rigs they were landing on were Unical, either drilling rigs or production rigs. And one of the interesting things is that those are the only yellow painted oil production places or oil structures in the Gulf. And my hypothesis is that the butterflies, when they're flying through, after a cold front comes through and nightfall is coming, and they spot yellow things in the Gulf, they're going to say, oh, it's a patch of goldenrod flowers, which, by the way, for those of you who know flowers, know that goldenrods are brilliant yellow. And so they land on these platforms and thinking they are going to get some food, which of course they don't get food because the platforms are just
hosed with water instead.
But they can get water, and they usually rest through the night, and when dawn comes, off they go again. Now, how long it takes them to get to Mexico? Probably they can do it in 1 to 2 days.
Wow.
Which means when they leave the Louisiana coast, when they leave the production platforms or the Louisiana coast, there is nothing between here and eastern coast of Mexico in the state of Tamaulipas, Mexico. And so they have to keep flying at night. So there's a good example where they can't land again. So this is this is proof that they must fly over water, and they can fly at night. Because you might say, well, why don't they just land on the water surface of the water? I have tried when I was on one of the West Cameron 280 is the platform I was on. It was a gas production platform. Dropping just something overboard, like a little tidbit of a piece of bread or anything like that. Within nanoseconds, something has come to the surface and grabbed it and hauled it down. A butterfly would not have a chance.
Yes.
It would not have a chance. It cannot land on water. Plus, the water itself would dampen its wings and it wouldn't be able to fly. So they have to keep going. They have no choice. If they're over water when nightfall comes, they're going. They're going to keep going. And they're going to keep going until they hit land again. And the closest land, once they leave the oil structures off the coast of Louisiana, is Tamaulipas, Mexico, which is the eastern coast of Mexico. And interestingly enough, when you draw a line from where in a direction, and we were able to ascertain what was the angle that they're flying at when they're coming into this. When you extrapolate and draw that line to the coast, it's in a section of Mexico where there is a pass that leads up into the Sierra Madre Oriental onto the Mexican plateau, and from there they have free sailing to the fir forests of western southern Mexico, outside of Mexico City. Spectacular.
Wow.
No doubt about it. Now, I have no data to show that a butterfly tagged
itself
on an
oil rig has
made it to the forest. But I have there's no doubt in my mind that they haven't made it, because I don't see why they couldn't.
Sure.
Anyway, go ahead.
And whenever you're on the oil rigs, you were watching the direction they were coming in, the direction they were leaving.
Yes, and with the helicopter pilots there, because many of the helicopter pilots stay there overnight for a day or two or something like that. And their helicopters have all these compasses and are able to get all these readings. So I was able to get very exact readings as to the direction of these things.
Yeah.
Where they're coming from, and when they take off. I've seen them take off, and what is the angle they're taking off at. That can't be by coincidence. They were not coming in from any place, direction, and they're not taking off in any direction. There is one direction they're coming from, and they're going to take off from that direction. And when you take that to its logical conclusion, you get a certain spot in the state of Tamaulipas, Mexico, which is the eastern state of Mexico, and there's a pass there where they can then get up into the mountains.
Wow.
So no, it was very, very nice, because I had I had access to people who knew how to calculate directions, which I did not know how to do.
At the time, yes.
At the time, I did not know how to do that, but they did. They were also able to show me that as we're flying in a helicopter and we come within 100, well, I forget how many feet I have. It is, but when you come within a certain number of feet of a man-made structure in the Gulf, the compass needle starts swinging because it alters the
magnetic field.
Because it's and I wondered why is this happening? He said, Gary, every man-made structure in the Gulf is produces a magnetic field around itself. So there's magnetism here. So if the monarchs are indeed following some sort of geomagnetic internal compass, and we know they have magnetite in their bodies and wings, we know that. That's a fact. They are confused again.
Yes.
Because it's as if the platforms are pulling them
into the spot.
It's not just the color yellow now, it's that the platforms are producing a magnetic field, and the butterflies, the monarchs, are being attracted to that. And we could demonstrate, that was so easy to demonstrate. That the helicopter pilot on several occasions showed, look what's happening to the breeding is off now, and it's going to be off until we land.
Yes.
And I forget it's not just 10 or
It's in your
20 feet
article.
away. It's I forget it
distance.
maybe 100 or more
Maybe
than 100
1,000,
feet
yeah,
away. It's a quite a bit of.
It's in the article, yeah.
It's in the article.
And I'll put that so people can watch it or go and read it through the article itself with all your findings.
No, it's not a short distance
No.
at all. And if our equipment can detect that small shift, God only knows what the monarchs can detect, because they're way more sensitive than our equipment is.
And they discovered the magnetite in the monarchs' thorax from looking at migratory birds. Is that where?
Migratory birds.
Was that a discovery within your
Yes,
lifetime?
in my lifetime,
yeah.
and it was done right by in large by folks at LSU.
Really?
George Lowry and all of his group have proven that birds, migratory birds fly at night, and they have magnetite in their wings, and that we think that they're using that to home in on specific places and directions. And they also fly at night by counting. George Lowry and Sidney Gautreaux, who was a graduate student at the same time I was. And in fact, I accompanied Sidney Gautreaux to Cameron Parish one year when he was setting up a telescope aimed at the moon, where they could see shadows of birds, and they actually spent the night counting and then extrapolating how many birds must be flying. If this number is flying across a little section of the moon, what's going on in the night sky? So they became internationally famous for proving not only do birds migrate at night and across the Gulf of Mexico, but in humongous numbers. It was hundreds and thousands and millions of birds of crossing the Gulf of Mexico. And it was all gathered through collecting data along the Cameron coast there. And I was part of at least one weekend I was there with them. And what was, I forgot. What was interesting, sometimes they would see things that would be too small to be any bird. Now, we could not say what this was, but I said, Sidney,
silhouette.
This could very easily be a monarch butterfly. And he said, there's no reason why it couldn't. And so I have anecdotal evidence that I did see some monarchs crossing, but I can't prove that. But he said these are not birds. Their flight is not the same, and they're too small. Butterflies work. Anyway.
How interesting.
But that was during the 60s.
Okay.
That was during the 60s.
So that was long before the oil rig.
That was long before most of those rigs and all of that. That's
yeah.
right. That was long before that. So none of those researchers then could go out onto the oil rigs or anything, because they were very few far between. So they were doing all their work from the coast.
Yeah.
And the Cameron coast, Cameron Parish is right there. And that's where they would go. That's where their research was done. And this was between 62 and 63 and 64 and 65.
Wonderful.
So yes,
And so you were in your 20s there, mid-20s.
I was in my 20s and just starting graduate school, working on my master's and PhD then. Yeah.
Let's talk about that some. So, reading your book, the first chapter was about your childhood adventure.
Okay.
Right? Which I'll kind of leave it. People can go and read it as they wish. Was that that seems to be the spark that connected you and laid you out on this path to where you had this multi-decade career, which we're now here.
I guess genetically and behaviorally, I've always had a
naturalist,
weak spot for nature.
Mm-hmm.
My father was not into sports.
Mm-hmm.
I should say my father. Neither my father nor my mother
Yes.
was into sports, into hunting, or fishing. They loved to garden for flowers, not vegetables.
Really?
But for flowers.
Uh-huh.
And we were in New Orleans. I grew up in New Orleans, and they're from New Orleans, although my father's from Morgan City.
Oh, that's where my grandparents are from.
So I'm part Cajun.
Yeah, they're from Patterson, Louisiana.
Patterson,
yeah.
Louisiana. Boy, you have a good memory.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's where
so
that's where my grandparents are from. That's where my mom was raised.
My father's mother's name was Boudreaux.
Boudreaux. They're Oppermans from Germany.
Effie Boudreaux.
Effie Boudreaux. They live right on Bayou Teche. On the bayou. So we grew up going on the boat and seeing the alligators in the water and all the beautiful nature.
Well, that's where my father's from.
Wow. Okay.
He grew up, and as to earn a few extra pennies, he collected Spanish moss and sold it to people who were coming in from New Orleans.
Really?
For Spanish, to get cured Spanish moss, because it was then being used for stuffing for pillows and mattresses and car seats and train seats and stuff like that. So he remembers that, doing that.
Wow.
Anyway,
okay, yes,
so I have had a knack for nature, and particularly for flowering plants, because I grew up in that world.
Sure.
And even as a youngster, probably 5 years old, is when I think I can count. When my parents were alive, we figured out I was probably 5 years old when we lived in a certain house. It was a shotgun house on Music Street in New Orleans, and it had a little alleyway and a little space next to it before the next house for a garden. And my father grew violet plants there and other plants that loved shade. And we would go to little woods with buckets to collect good soil, because back then there were no plant nurseries to buy soil and stuff. So we made good soil, put good soil in that area from buckets. I remember we had a car and collected soils, or high organic soils from Little Woods.
Yes.
Today it's all built up, but then it was just a little hole in the wall.
Swallowtail.
And that's where I used to have my satsuma trees.
Oh, the freeze.
And I remember he would talk sometime about how he would get some infestations of caterpillars on his violets. And so I would go with him sometimes, and I would look at him, and sure enough, it was an orangish caterpillar with black spines on it, and he was afraid of touching them because he thought they would sting you. And this was the Gulf Fritillary and variegated Fritillary caterpillars. That's them.
On top.
On top, they're the two.
I'll put a picture up for everybody.
And so, like I said, this was very, very long ago. This was 1945.
Yeah, wow.
I was born in 1940, so
yes,
this was
correct.
1945. And I remember, and of course I don't know how much I'm adding to this.
Sure.
I have, I know our brains are not file systems. We edit everything we remember. But I seem to remember walking with him some days, and when he was going to kill, and he would wear gloves to kill these caterpillars that were feeding on the leaves of his violet, I would take them and put them in a jar. And at first, I would put grass in there for them to eat. Well, they all died. So then I realized, well, they must like violet plants.
Sure.
So at night, when my father wasn't looking, I would go sneak some little leaves of violets and put them in the jar. And sure enough, the caterpillars thrived, and they would form their chrysalis, and out would come either this orange butterfly, which I had no idea what its name was or anything. I just knew it was a bright orange butterfly. That metamorphosis, that change for a person who's 5 or 6 years old was really magical.
Yes.
And I think I never have gotten over that feeling that accompanies your discovery of a particular caterpillar on a plant, and when you raise it and you find out what it becomes. It's still magical. And that's what I have spent my life doing. I am not a collector of butterflies. Yes, I have collected, of course. But my big thing is I wanted to learn about them. That's what the subtitle of my book is, collection or anthology of adventures on the nature of butterflies. It's not on butterflies per se. It's on what butterflies are. What do they do? What makes them a butterfly? And that is what I have honed in on over the years. Finding a butterfly that no one knows, that science knows virtually nothing about, and then going and trying to elucidate its world. And I have been very, very successful in doing that. Two of the stories I have done regarding two butterflies, one in the prairies of Missouri, and one, there's a yellow, cloudless sulfur, in the,
here it comes.
in Mexico, and in
Missouri.
My first story was in dealing with a butterfly in Mexico, and another one dealing with a butterfly in Cameron Parish. Those stories became award-winning stories. By award-winning, I mean nature-based essays. And they are in this book. All of those stories are in this book, and published almost in their original format way back. And that's what I love doing. And in fact, the story I did on the prairie butterfly of Missouri was a cover story for the magazine that year. And I'm very proud of that magazine. I'll have to show that to you.
Yeah, please do. I'm gonna write that down so I remember to look at it.
And that butterfly has a spectacular name, a beautiful name, like the monarch name is a beautiful name once you really get into why it's called a monarch.
Which
you
have
sure
look here.
Which
so
it's a whole chapter. A whole chapter in this magazine.
So
on why monarchs are called monarchs, and it's not what you think, because indeed today that butterfly is the monarch, the king of butterflies worldwide. We know that. That's a fact. But when it was named, no one knew anything about it. Knew nothing about its migration, nothing about its life cycle. It was named after a king, a very famous king of England, King James
the Third.
Who to this day, the butterfly is not called monarchs in Canada, it's called king billies. Interesting story, interesting relationship, but that's a tangent. So the point I'm trying to make is that I have spent my life trying to figure out what a particular butterfly does that gives it its uniqueness and its appeal to not just me, but maybe to other people as well. Because the Regal Fritillary now is the poster child.
The Regal
for prairie
Fritillary
conservation. It may not be in your book,
It might not, because this is the coastal plain. It's the
Regal Fritillaries lay their eggs on violets too.
Do they?
Yes. And they have and the Diana, which is a relative of the Regal Fritillary, is a forest butterfly. Both Dianas and Regals, both my work with the Diana in elucidating that life cycle, and my work with the Regal Fritillary is responsible for producing the largest butterfly festivals the world has ever seen. One in Mount Magazine, Arkansas, and one in Powell Gardens, in Missouri, Kingsville, Missouri.
Now,
The largest butterfly festivals in the world. We would bring in 10 to 12,000 people on a weekend just to hear me rant and rave about the
so you would talk at
Oh,
them.
and how not only was my work responsible for premiering these, I was the premier
Headliner?
presenter,
Yeah,
headliner at these festivals.
Wow. And how many years did you do that for?
Whew, maybe 5, 6 years.
Wow, that's
Every year I drive to Mount Magazine in Missouri, Midwestern Missouri, and do these festivals.
Wow.
And the festivals, by the way, still continue.
Sure.
I just don't go to
You're
them
not- yeah.
anymore. I'm too physically handicapped
Sure.
to be going to these festivals. But that information is in my book too. When you get to
Oh, yeah,
those
I'm not there
chapters,
yet.
there's a
Yes.
chapter
Okay, I
on the
can't wait.
Diana
Okay,
and a
okay,
chapter
awesome.
on the Regal Fritillary.
Okay, wonderful.
And the chapters end with a discussion of those two festivals.
wonderful. I can't wait to go.
The premiere of the Butterfly Festival in Missouri with the Regal Fritillary, because it was at Powell Gardens, which is about an hour and a half south of Kansas City. Kansas City is a huge metropolitan area.
Uh-huh.
We had such wonderful publicity before the festival. I was on radio, TV stations, newspapers.
Uh-huh.
A Cajun Lepidopterist
Yeah.
is found out some amazing things about the Regal Fritillary. We tied up traffic on the interstate coming out of
Whoa.
Kansas City, so that the police officers came into the ticket place, because they were paid festivals, say, you all have to do something about moving this traffic in and into
city.
your grounds here, because you have traffic tied up for 5 to 10 miles beyond here. People can't get on. People can't move on the interstate.
Wow.
So we let 500. I think it was 500 cars go in free just to clear the interstate for a while.
Whoa.
And I'm thinking, how nice. All because of a creature that no one knew about. Come on. You see what's very interesting? I don't want to get into spirituality and
Sure,
all of
we don't
that
have to.
stuff here, but things like this are very meaningful to
Yeah.
me. Butterflies know who I am and what I do. No doubt about it in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
How? I don't know.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know.
You don't need to. Yeah.
But I don't need to.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go.
Okay, let's get.
But anyway, that was because of and that story made the front cover of Natural History magazine.
Wow.
And that's the story that just recently won the latest award, which was just a year and a half ago.
That was in 2024.
Yes,
that was
the
the
2024.
John Burroughs Award.
The John Burroughs
New York.
Literary Award for Outstanding Nature Essay.
And that's in this book?
And that's in
Oh,
this
yeah.
book,
Okay, I can't wait.
almost word for word.
Wow.
So anyway, getting back to the why butterflies.
Yes.
To me, butterflies, they open a window into discovery. As a curious person and a person who has grown up with a family that was curious and enjoyed flowers and plants. Not necessarily butterflies. Now,
Sure.
My mother did enjoy butterflies, but my mother and my father were never into butterflies.
Yes.
With a background like I had, I have never gotten over my awe
Yes.
of butterflies, because to me that is a window not just into butterflies, but a window into the
Yes.
awesomeness of nature in general. And I don't care what it is.
Yes.
Nature is indeed awesome.
Yes.
And I can investigate a butterfly, or I can talk about butterflies and show them the monarch life cycle and show them the chrysalis and show them a butterfly just emerging from that chrysalis and become very teary-eyed.
Yes.
After 85 years of dealing with this. It still evokes awesomeness
Yeah.
in me. There's a Gulf Fritillary on the lantana right there.
I
You
don't
see
see.
he's opening his wings slowly, slowly, slowly.
I see.
Not the first little clump of lantana.
Oh,
the
I see back
second
there.
one.
Yes, yes, yes. Very slowly.
No, so I've never gotten over that spontaneity.
Oh, here's, look, what is that?
Yeah,
Swallow.
yeah. What is that? Is that a butterfly or a wasp?
No, that's a butterfly. You see? Or
Yeah.
a moth. That's a moth.
Moth, yeah.
It's like swallowtail legs to it.
Well, I'm getting up.
That's good.
Long-tailed skipper.
Long-tailed skipper. Wait, that's actually in my...
There's a skipper.
That's a
There's
skipper. See, I don't know anything about...
Guys, you haven't seen skippers.
skippers.
That's one of the bigger skippers in the world.
Here we go.
Is he on there? He should be, because he's
should
very
be.
common.
Let's see.
Long-tailed skipper.
They have a long-tailed skipper, sure enough.
He's got bluish, greenish little tails.
You can see his caterpillar. Wow, his caterpillar form is wonderful. Pink head. I'll put it on the video so people can see. Bottom right, like that, right there.
Yep, that's him.
That was my first time encountering a skipper. I've never seen one in person and noticed what I was
Most of the
looking at.
time are smaller than that.
Yeah.
But, you know, and what I have learned over these 85 years dealing with butterflies, not just in the United States, but in particularly in the tropical areas of Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, South America, Brazil, where the highest concentration of species occurs, to East Africa, to New Guinea, to Madagascar. Every species, I don't care. And there are probably close to 20,000 different species of butterflies in the world. Every single one has a specialized, unique natural history. Most of those natural histories are still unknown because there are not many people like me going around investigating that, because many of them are in places that are very difficult to get to, particularly today. And I don't know how long before we ever get to understand all the nature of butterflies. But everyone has its peculiar nature about it. And I think for somebody who is an imaginative person and a creative person and a person who loves outdoors, and particularly butterflies in the outdoors, nothing better. Nothing better. Some of the things I've seen and didn't have time to investigate in these tropical areas about butterflies that opens questions, hundreds of questions about why is it doing this? What kind of caterpillar does it have? There are no answers to that yet. I would love to live a few thousand years and be able to come up with some answers, but of course I can't.
Sure.
But there are other people younger than I who have interests like that. And so I hope to inspire other people into the magic world of butterflies. Look at the Gulf Fritillaries right there, right in front of us.
Oh, there's another one on the close lantana.
You see, between 9 and 10 are good times for butterflies. Once the weather temperature starts warming outside. See, butterflies are creatures of the air. They're creatures of sunlight and warmth. We forget that butterflies are insects. All insects are cold-blooded. That means they don't have a way of really warming themselves naturally. They depend on sunlight to warm themselves or muscle contractions to produce some heat.
Yeah, I never
in
thought
their
about
bodies.
this.
So they can't fly during cold mornings or in the winter or when it's very, very cold any other time. So they depend on sunlight and warmth to get themselves going. So this morning was cool.
Yes, yeah.
And so now around between 9 and 10 is a pretty good time. By noon we'll be perfect.
Perfect.
Is it ever too hot for butterflies? No, not really. As long as they have access
to nectar.
To liquid
Sure.
of some kind, be it nectar, be it sap, be it tears,
Be
it blood,
the crocodile.
be it perspiration, saliva. As long as they have access to moisture, it's never too hot. So if you're going to plant a garden and trying to attract butterflies, that's something to keep in mind too.
Yes.
Don't plan on planting your plants in
you have a way with words.
a shady place.
Uh-huh.
They don't like it. They're not going in because they cool down too fast and they may not be able to fly. If they can't fly, normally that means a bird, a squirrel, a lizard, something has easy access to them.
See, okay.
So stay in the sun. Put your garden in full sun.
I've been releasing my monarchs that I'm raising.
It's all right to release them in the shade.
Okay. On a plant that's in the shade, a butterfly
That's
bush that's
okay.
in the shade.
They're going to move as long as there's sun around.
And I was thinking, the reason I've been doing that is because I read your article about the production rig, and do you recall the story when you were going to, the workers were like, there's no way that butterfly's going to take off with the tag on its wing.
Workers saying, no way is this butterfly going to take off. And I said, oh yes it is, oh yes it is. So we were in the sun, sitting in the sun on a hot day. It was in October. The temperature was certainly in the mid-80s. It was one of those warm days. The front had come through and the temperature had gotten warmed up a bit again. And I said, oh yes, I'm going to put the tag on him. Now, it took a long time. Is that the story you're talking about?
Yes, sir.
It took a while for me to do this because I'm explaining how you have to sort of scrape with your finger, wipe the scales off so that when the adhesive sticks, it sticks to the membrane of the wing. Not the scales, because the scales come off easily. Anybody who's caught a butterfly knows the scales come off. And so you have to do that, and I'm talking, and
you had the film camera,
and we had only one cameraman, and this was one of those big Aeroflex cameras, those big things, and we was doing with sound. He had a sound system with it, and we had to take different angles. And I said, what I'm going to do when we're ready, I'm going to go to the edge, and I'm going to take him and throw him up in the air, and off he goes, and hopefully he makes it to Mexico. Oh no, that butterfly is not making it to Mexico. They could not believe that anything with a tag on, anything as fragile as a butterfly, when you put anything on him, is going to fly. So anyway, the time came, the dramatic time, and the camera ready with me at the edge, and I throw the butterfly up. It was like a piece of lead. It went straight down 100 and something feet to the water, and a fish came up and grabbed him immediately. It was gone. And everybody on the rig, of course, everybody who was working there was watching all of this. I mean, all work stopped. I was the center of attention. This was it. It didn't matter what they were supposed to be doing. Everybody was there. We told you that butterfly was not going anywhere. I said, this was unusual. I said, that butterfly was probably half dead by the time I got
dried out in the sun.
We're going to do another one, and we're going to do this fast, and I'm going to throw him up. And we did another one, and off it went. But it was so funny. We all broke down and laughed. I don't know if anybody was rolling on the ground or not, but
probably so. It
was. I mean, it was. I'm not exaggerating, as if it was a piece of I threw him up.
Keep going.
Down he went. No flapping, nothing. He just went straight down to the water. Now, bear in mind, we were in the front top, we were in the helicopter port of the rig. So we were way up. We were 100 and something feet up in the air. He had a long way to go.
Yeah.
And we all ran to the edge, looked over, whoop,
Yeah.
fish came up. Because, see, fish love
Yeah.
staying around the rig.
Yes, of course. Because, yeah.
Extra food that we don't eat gets
Yes, thrown off to it.
thrown off. Coral grows and things
Against
grow
the,
on
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
pilings.
Wow. What a
And we laughed our heads off, but I did get to show afterwards that, hey, this can be done. And
Yes.
this first example is not one we want to practice.
Yeah, sure. And so, from reading that story, that then
I forgot that was in there.
that's in the article
It is
that
in
I
the
found.
article.
I have it
But
linked.
it's not in this.
Not in this.
I didn't
yeah.
think it was
No,
in this.
but people can go read it. I'll have it up.
Yeah.
It's on my little website I was showing you. That then made me start releasing my butterflies in the shade because I didn't want them to get too hot and not be able to, or get dried out, I guess.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Okay.
They're gonna if you're in the shade, they're gonna find it as long as the sun's out. I'd say now don't do it
Don't
on
release-
a cloudy day. But
yes.
with monarchs, monarchs are gaining part of their nature.
Yeah.
Is that they can tolerate temperatures a little cooler
Yes.
than most butterflies.
Which you were estimating around 22,
Ooh.
24?
Just they don't die until temperatures get below freezing. They can actually tolerate freezes for short periods of time, not more than a few hours.
Okay.
But most butterflies can't tolerate that.
Yes.
But monarchs, even though they're tropical, they seem to be able to tolerate short bursts of cool weather.
Sure.
And they're able to fly on cloudy days sometimes when many other butterflies can't.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's that Fritillary.
You got a couple of them.
Look, here's one coming right here.
Is that one as
They're
well?
all coming
Yeah,
from my front garden
yeah.
where my passion
We'll have
vines
to
are
do a
growing.
part 2 and go sit out there and just be, swarmed by them. So, for the butterflies that I'm releasing, they're upside down in the cage that I have inside. And I went and bought the cage off Amazon for $18. So just so people know who are listening who aren't familiar with protecting the butterfly as it goes through its metamorphosis, all I did was get a milkweed plant for my friend. I had it outside. I went outside one day and I started noticing caterpillars on it. I clipped off and I brought it inside and I got one of those cages off of Amazon. $12, $18, a 2-foot mesh cage, like whenever you're in elementary. And so all I do is put the milkweed stems inside a little vase, and the caterpillars would eat and eat. The Hungry, Hungry Caterpillar is a very accurate book.
It is. It is. That's their sole purpose in life is to eat. And
yes.
because they
As a
don't
caterpillar.
care whether it's day or night, it doesn't make any difference. It doesn't matter who's watching them or anything else. If they get full, they take a little break for a few minutes and they start eating
And they eat
again.
again.
They're eating machines.
Yes.
Their only purpose is to get from that egg
Yes.
to the chrysalis
Yes.
and get as fat as they can be.
Yes.
So they can make a nice, healthy adult butterfly. That's it.
That's it.
They have no other purpose in life.
And so, don't let that discourage you about how much they eat. If you're just getting into this, it's wonderful. It's the best.
They eat a lot.
They eat a lot, but you can go get milkweed frequently in multiple different places.
And most nurseries know that there are butterfly enthusiasts around today.
Keep going. Sorry.
It was having lived as long as I have lived,
Yes.
I can talk about things that are different today than
Interesting.
they were when I was young. When I started off as a gardener in 1972, I built my house here.
Here's a monarch. All the way to your right. Oh, it's flying up now.
We went over the
Yeah.
other.
Sorry, keep going.
And started my garden. And when I would go to the nurseries, this is before the term butterfly gardening ever was coined. This was before there was any interest in butterfly gardening. People were gardening for hummingbirds and birds, but not butterflies. We're talking about the 70s. All right. when you go to a nursery, all plants were being sprayed with insecticides because they didn't want any critter, including butterflies,
caterpillars,
because of caterpillars destroying their plants.
Because they would eat the plant, but that's what it's
because
supposed to do.
nobody
That's
wanted to buy a plant that was damaged because of insect eating it. A caterpillar, a worm, and the caterpillars weren't called caterpillars generally.
Oh,
they
you
were
mentioned
called
it
worms.
earlier.
Worms. Now that's a word that you don't hear people using today. Even when I talk to groups today, people no, you don't call caterpillars worms. They're not worms. But that's what they were called back then, worms. No one called them caterpillars. Now, people knew what a caterpillar was, but that's not what they called them. They were worms. And I would always begin my talk saying, now, first thing we're going to talk about is why a caterpillar is not a worm. Worms, worms don't have legs. They squirm around. They live in soil or maybe in your body as a parasite. They're born as worms, they die as worms. A caterpillar is not born without legs. It has legs, it eats plants, and it metamorphoses, it transforms into resting stage, and out from that resting stage comes not another worm or a caterpillar, but a beautiful butterfly. So they're not worms. They're not called worms. Worms are legless, caterpillars are not. They all have legs. No one bought plants with worm holes in the leaves. Today, when you go to a nursery, and they say, well, to get milkweed, say, we generally have a lot of milkweed, but all the plants we have right now are promised to someone who called, and they're coming in later today. To pick them, so we don't have any to sell.
Why so?
Because the person called and said she wants them all. All the milkweeds we have. And so the person who's standing there today, this happened, I can tell you.
Oh, to you?
When I was there at a nursery.
Okay.
The person was relaying this to me.
Yes, okay.
And so she said, well, can I see the plants? So the nurseryman showed her the plants, and several of them had little caterpillars, monarch babies, and some of them had a few little eggs. And she said, oh, the person who wanted to buy them said, oh my Lord, they even have babies. She said, how much are these plants that you have promised? And I forget what, let's just say $2.
Yes.
The woman standing there, I'll give you $5 a piece for them if you sell them to me now.
Yes.
The point I'm trying to make is people today, knowing, will pay to get their plants infested with caterpillars, what we used to be calling worms. Pay more. Okay,
so why? Why now?
Because they're so passionate about what they want.
Because the information.
Pay the money. Because they now have information.
Yes.
They know they're not worms.
Yes.
They know they're caterpillars, and they know they're going to be monarch butterflies. And that's what they want. And they have the money to do it. So nurserymen today all have learned, do not spray your...
Hey, there's a monarch right
there. There's a monarch right there.
On your lantana. Let's see, male or female?
I can't see from here without my glasses.
That's a male.
Oop.
Oh.
Saw how that monarch took off even before that fritillary got too close to it.
Yes.
I mean, they can't see what we see, but they see motion and color very, very well.
Yes.
They don't see individual pictures like we see.
Yeah.
But they do see motion and colors. So anyway, the point being that if today you're running a nursery and you are having host plants for butterflies, rest assured, you're going to sell them, and you don't have to spray them to keep butterflies from laying their eggs.
That is the purpose of the milkweed, or the purpose of the plant is to feed.
So I tell people, so when you're going to buy host plants, bear in mind they're going to be eaten. Do not buy these plants to satisfy your love of flowers, which most of these plants do produce. Host plants do produce nice flowers, and if you want those flowers, just buy enough.
Yes.
Buy enough for you and your caterpillar. But bear in mind, if you don't buy a lot of these plants, your caterpillars are going to defoliate every one of your plants.
Yes.
That is a fact.
Yes.
So just buy enough.
Yes.
Share.
Yes, for you and the
Share your
caterpillars.
banquet. Share your banquet with your butterfly friends.
That's so interesting, being in my younger years, where that seems so
You see, you
understood.
grew up in. You see, you're in a different world.
Of course. Why would you spray the plants? That's what they're meant for. They're meant to produce the nectar.
No one knew that.
Yeah. But you passed it on. You passed it on. Your work is passed it on to.
But I was a minority.
That's okay. No, that's okay. Don't worry about that.
Entomologists. Well, I'm not so sure all entomologists. They should have known it, but at least lepidopterists knew it. We knew it, but the public didn't, because to the public, as I said before, this damage was caused by worms. And who likes a worm?
Yeah.
No one. The term worm has a negative connotation
so
to
interesting. Yes. Some people call people worms as an insult.
One of the things, like I said, when I was describing the difference between a worm and a caterpillar, I said, don't insult caterpillars by calling them worms.
Yeah.
That's a direct insult to those poor creatures. They are not worms.
So
the world is different, Sam. It's a very, very different world. And all I can say is I'm coming from an era that has seen a tremendous amount of change, and for the good. That's one place the world, there it is, coming right to us. They're so slow when they move their wings, they're not fidgety.
Yes. Yeah.
Look, they just sit there.
So that's just, wow.
But no, there's a monarch right there. And it's very fresh. So either it's a release from somebody, maybe one of yours that you released, or it's coming down from some other place in the country, because we know from reports from New England that butterflies are now moving.
Mm-hmm. Why'd you say it's very fresh? How do you know? From the scale colors?
Color. It's brilliant. It's bright. And as they age, they get duller and duller and duller looking.
Because the scales fall off through flight.
The scales fall off. The scales are not permanently attached. Now, a lot of people used to think, this is another thing that has changed. When I was small, I was always told, even when I was a youngster, do not catch a butterfly with your fingers, because if the scales, they didn't call them even scales, they called it pollen. Or dust.
Yeah.
When the dust comes off their wings, they can't fly, they're going to die. And we used to think that. We now know that is not true.
No.
Scales do not, the presence or absence of scales don't have much to do with the way a butterfly flies or how long it can live. And in fact, we know that there are certain tropical butterflies that have practically no scales.
You have one in your house?
I have some framed ones in my house. And some of those are some of the most magical creatures you've ever seen, because they fly in the depths and the darkness of the deepest rainforests, and they flutter very, very slowly. The first one I ever saw, and they fly low to the ground, I thought, because it was maybe 40 or 50 feet from me. It looked like a piece of cellophane that was floating, or an apparition of some kind. And I thought, what is this, a ghost in here? And I realized, oh, Gary, it's a clearwing, and they're commonly called clearwing butterflies. And they're on the internet. You can plug in Google clearwing butterfly and you see some beautiful pictures of some butterflies that don't have a lot of scales on them. They fly perfectly well. Look here. Look, I mean, we're being over. Look, here's a model.
Yeah, they hear us talking about them.
So the purpose of scales on the wings is not.
Let me just swap the tail for you.
Is not to keep a butterfly healthy.
Yeah, okay.
It's to provide color for mating choice, for courtship and mating, because we know color is involved in mating of everything, including people.
Yes.
What we wear, how we put our hair, and what we wear in our noses.
Appearance, yes.
Appearance is important. So it's important for mating, and it's important for shedding water. The things that interfere with most butterflies is going to be not big predators, but damage to their wings from the scales being impacted by raindrops.
Oh, I haven't even thought about that.
How about fog? How about dew in the morning?
No.
Yes, all of that can moisten those scales and they come loose and fall off. And so the thicker the scales, the more the wing is protected. When the scales come off, the only thing left is a thin membrane, and it's transparent. It's perfectly transparent.
And it's good
it
to
does
fly.
Look like cellophane.
And it's good to fly.
And it can fly with that.
But
it's easily damaged. And so the reason people had this idea that if you pick up a butterfly by its wings and the dust, quote unquote, comes off, it's going to die, is because it's not that the scales have come off in your hand, it's that you've damaged the membrane. Because most people don't know how to pick them up. I know how to pick up a butterfly.
I don't know how to pick up a butterfly.
You know?
No.
I will show you.
All of mine that I've released climbed on my finger and I released.
Okay, you don't have to pick them up. But if their wings are over their back, if you don't grab them like you're grabbing them with a vice or something. Very, very gently. No scales are going to come off, are going to be detached, and then you put him on your hand. I do this sometimes for funerals. People will call me, and I have had some personal deaths where I use the butterfly as an example of a change of life from a person who's not, maybe the body is in the ground, but the spirit is flying on gossamer wings, on butterfly wings. And I release a butterfly. And what I do, I have a butterfly in a little cooler, keeping him calm. And at the appropriate moment, when I'm giving my little talk, I take it out by picking him up with my fingers, putting him on my hand, releasing him, and watching him for a few seconds while he's adjusting to the light before he takes off. And then I say, and now in the name of Grant Ross, the spirit who we know is flying somewhere, I release Grant's soul on gossamer wings. The butterfly takes off. No dry eyes in the audience. The priest or the minister who is there looks at me and says, "My God, you need to be at every one of my funerals." Brings solace to me, and I think it brings comfort and solace to the people who are there, because words don't mean very much when I have found out. If I'm grieving someone, somebody can be talking to me about and reading passages from the gospel don't mean anything. Maybe I should be embarrassed by saying that, but fact is a fact. My ears don't want to hear this. I want an emotional experience.
Feel it.
I want a visceral experience. I want something to touch my psyche. Another can of worms to open.
You sure?
And the butterfly experience that I provide does just that. Because every eye is on me when I'm standing up there and I'm saying, butterflies represent our transformation from the physical to the metaphysical. Every culture believes that.
Yes.
And they show it in their artwork, they show it in their stories, they show it in their tales. We know that. So, in the name of Grant Ross, everyone is staring at me. And the tears are flowing. And my tears are flowing. And I have never seen a priest or minister reading something that brings that kind of emotions to a funeral, to a grave site.
Yeah.
Sorry, doesn't do it. They don't do it. To me, the words are just open words. They mean nothing. They may mean something later on, but not at that moment. At that moment, the grieving person needs to feel something. And that butterfly will do it.
It's a release.
And the monarch is the best butterfly to use because some of the others are very fidgety.
Yes.
And when you take them out and you put them on your hand, sometimes within a nanosecond, they take off on their own. But monarchs are different.
Slow.
They are very slow and very deliberate. I can get a monarch to sit on my hand for as long as I want, provided I've had him in a little cooler.
Yeah.
You just don't bring him out of a sack or something. He's got to be in a little ice chest. And he's got to be cooled down. And I can get him to sit there and I can talk about anything I want for a few seconds, for a few minutes.
Yeah.
And all eyes are on me. And then when I figure out it's about time for him to take off, that's what I'll do. And it is an experience that you can't believe the number of people who have come up to me, because I've done probably 2 or 3 dozen funerals.
Wow.
Come and thank me for helping them.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've had several priests or ministers come up and say, hey, I need to call you and bring you.
Because it's not in the sense of a performance, but in the sense of evoking emotion that the people need to connect with.
And I also preface this by saying, hey, this butterfly, I did not purchase this butterfly from a commercial. This butterfly came from my garden this morning or last night, yesterday afternoon. It's one of my butterflies.
So you're connecting.
So I'm connecting me to the funeral, even though it may be a funeral of a person I maybe may not have been very close,
That's
like my brother and his wife. I was very close to them, but these other people haven't been that close. Of course, I've known them, because I don't do this for strangers. If I don't know a person, I'm going to say, I'm very sorry, but that doesn't mean anything. But the word I was getting to was psyche. Did you read anything about the word psyche?
Not yet, no, sir.
You don't know that yet. The word psyche, P-S-Y-C-H-E, which we use, and we use it as meaning our inner self, our soul. We use it as a prefix to many words like psychology, psychiatry, psychotherapy. He's psychic.
Yes.
Is an ancient Greek word that has a double meaning. The double meaning is our inner self, our soul, but it is synonymous Oh, you're gonna die. Butterfly. The Greeks considered butterflies the harbingers of the human soul. They used one word to describe both. So when I say butterflies touch my psyche, I'm meaning they touch my inner soul, but because they are butterflies, they are my soul too. So a butterfly is a real soulmate, is your true soulmate. How wonderful, what a thought.
Yeah.
To think that, to know that. This is the front cover. Can I just hold it up like that?
Yes, hold it up, yeah.
Of Natural History magazine. This is the February 23 issue.
February 23, okay.
And it was awarded the John Burroughs Outstanding Nature Essay Award.
Here, can you pass it over?
On April 1st, 2024.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a picture of you holding it too, and I'll put it up.
Oh, okay, all right, here.
You gotta smile though.
When I flew to New York City, to the Yale Club of New York City for a 3.5-hour luncheon to celebrate the John Burroughs winners. They recognize the outstanding nature story, the outstanding nature book, and the outstanding small collection of children's nature stories.
Nice.
They give 3 different awards that day. And it's once a year, and it's named after John Burroughs, who is the father of the modern essay and the modern nature writing. He is known and very, very famous for that. And this was the story of the Regal Fritillary from the prairies of Missouri.
Wow.
That not only won the literary award, but wound up as the cover story. And I'm very, very proud of it.
Can I hold it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna put this right here so it doesn't get
Look
damaged.
at some of the pictures.
Okay, so you also are a photographer.
And I do my own photography.
And you document.
That's the other thing
So this
I do. So I've had to learn how to become a professional, I've had to learn how to document things with a camera. And I have not ever taken photographic lessons. I've never taken literary writing lessons. But apparently, because I'm passionate about what I do, I've learned what I have to do to get those disciplines under my belt.
Wonderful, yes.
And so all I can say is I've wound up in National Geographic magazine. I've wound up on the front cover. I'm not been in the cover of National Geographic.
No, that's okay, but your work is in here.
My work has been chronicled
I found them from my own collection.
Twice in National Geographic.
I don't have them marked out
I can't
yet.
remember what pages they're on.
That's okay.
One is on the Diana. Both of the articles are dealing with my work on the Diana Fritillary in Mount Magazine, Arkansas.
Mount Magazine, Arkansas. Where do you know where? Like where's
Near
that?
the town of Paris, Arkansas, which is
Paris.
close to Fort Smith.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, so I went home that night and I looked through my collection and found your pieces. I haven't read them yet.
Isn't that interesting that you had those 2 issues, because they're not very recent.
No, these are from the 90s.
They're from the 90s.
97 and
yet you have
2001. Oh, and also real quick, just for the people watching, the magazine that you gave me.
That won an award too.
Yes, and you took the photos in this.
All the photos of mine
This
in that.
is available in the description of this video. I'll put it the digital version.
Okay.
So anybody, I showed you on my website, so anybody can go and
get the digital
view it
version
and watch
of
and
the
read your
whole
stories.
magazine. It's a special issue that the Louisiana Wildlife Federation put out in their quarterly magazine.
Yes.
And we did a special issue with glossy covers. And there's a type of monarch on top of Mount Magazine, Arkansas. And here's a monarch telling us hello right now. This whole magazine is devoted to the monarch, and it's called Monarch Magic. and it's available digitally. And I won the, each year Louisiana Wildlife Federation honors several people who have been very active in promoting conservation of some kind.
Yes.
So they give an award for Conservation Educator of the Year, Conservation Communicator of the Year award, Conservation layperson,
Yep.
Conservation politician, conservation business person, and an overall conservation I can't think of the word they're using. It's the main award.
Yes.
But they give they honor certain people. I, in 2002, won the award for the Conservation Communicator of the Year.
Wonderful.
The president, it was a presidential award.
Through this magazine.
Through this magazine. Through the Louisiana Wildlife Federation in conjunction with the National Wildlife Federation, which is a very big one, by the way. National Wildlife Federation is a monstrous conservation magazine.
You handed this to me and told me that this is the handbook for monarch butterflies.
And I had put, as of 2001 or
Yes,
2002, I had brought everything up to, I was up to date on everything dealing with monarch. I'm not right now.
Sure, sure.
But at that point,
To 2001.
I put into this magazine chapters dealing with every nature
That's it.
of the monarch butterfly in this magazine, including where the name comes from.
Yes, which we talked about earlier.
Which we talked
Which
about
you can
earlier.
go read the whole
It's a fascinating historical
your documentation. Yes,
of how
it's wonderful.
the name is not only perfect for the thing we identify today as the monarch butterfly, but the naming was fortuitous because no one then had any inkling as to what this butterfly was about. They only knew it was an orange butterfly and it appeared every spring
Yes.
and fall in New England, and it reminded them of their patron, the Prince of Orange.
Yes.
From the Netherlands, who became King James III,
A monarch
the
himself.
monarch of England.
Yeah, and so
And it was there, it became their comfort every year to look forward to spring and fall. Because bear in mind, in the 1600s,
shoo.
new colonies in this country were very difficult. Many
Yeah.
of them petered out. Many of them just didn't make it. They didn't make it. I'm not so sure the Jamestown colony made it at first. I know they did. I think that was one of the colonies that wound up being, that disappeared for a while. So it was nice for the people who survived to be able to look forward each year to every spring and every fall, to every fall at any rate, and every summer when the monarchs would come through,
Wow.
and every spring. In other words, it was the periodicity of this that made them think of their home country and the one person they could count on
King James.
who took the leadership after they had fled their
Yes.
country because of King George something,
Yes.
who was not a Protestant.
Wow.
Holland, Netherlands at the time,
Yes.
was a Protestant country, and they were
And all
promoting
your-
Protestantism. And the Prince of Orange from the House of Orange
Wonderful.
was the person who did it. And I
So-
think that's a lovely story, a
It
very
is.
fortuitous story.
You
as I
put it
would
all
say.
together in here. You
And
can read it all.
And it's the first chapter. What is in a name?
Yep. What is in the name? Exactly. And then you also have, just for people so they know what they're getting into, the life cycle of butterflies, monarch butterflies, how to garden for them, how they migrate. Just a handbook. Mexico's, the winter hideaways where they go overwintering. Just everything you need to know is in
Right.
this.
And
It's in the
there
description.
are some things
to
that
read.
have been
Sure.
refined over
Sure,
the
sure, sure,
years,
sure,
because
sure.
that's been, what, 20 years ago?
Yes, 24.
24 years. the other thing I brought out to show you was that I've had four cover stories in Natural History magazine. One is the one on the Regal with butterflies. Another one is on butterflies, and two are not on butterflies. But this is another one on butterflies, and it brings out another aspect of the nature of butterflies, and that is the art and the mysticism and the spirituality of butterflies. This photograph is of a piece of art. It's a carving in elk horn by a member of the Zuni tribe in northwestern New Mexico. And it's done by a very famous carver of the difference, the contrast between life and death, and how butterflies allow us to go and understand our transition from between life and death. And he did it in a way that I think is very, very dramatic. It's in the form of a small fetish, which is what the Zuni people carve. These are carvings that mean something to them. A fetish is a carving of some kind, of an animal of some kind that holds the spirit. So that when you carry that with you, you have that spirit with you. It's a beautiful thought. This is a carving of a monster, which is representing evil and death. But its legs are resting on, and its two hands are holding butterflies.
Wow.
So it's a contrast between life and death, evil and good. And the art director of the magazine loved one of the photographs I had submitted with my article and put it as the cover.
And so you have your article in there as well.
The title of the article is Air Dancers in Stone.
Wonderful. I have to read it. I'm very excited.
I'll look another time and see if I can find an extra copy.
Sure.
But you can probably find.
I might be able to find a digitized version, then I can share it with everyone. If there's digitized versions, I'll put it up on the screen and have it in the description for other people to read. Okay, so.
All right, so that was so I have two of my cover photographs. Two of my stories in Natural History magazine have made front covers, and I have two stories that are not on butterflies that had made the cover.
Wonderful.
But I didn't bring those to show.
That's okay. I'm excited to read. So this brings me to a little bit of a selfish question.
Okay.
I love writing rhymes and for my songs, rhymes and rhythms, and figuring out how to best translate my thoughts through writings themselves. Air Dancers in Stone is quite a poetic title, and many of your titles, you are very in tune with your words, the way you work them, the way you connect
create
them.
Drama for people who are not into the subject.
So yes, interest, yes, exactly. Okay, I know somewhat where it started. You're talking about in your first chapter about the cave, which is a story that you wrote whenever you went and traveled.
When I was 13 years old.
13, and the explorations that you went on, almost fiction, semi-based about what y'all actually experienced, and you went and you presented it to your class. You wrote. Is that where writing started for you?
Yes, that was the first thing I wrote. And it was for me to remember the trip, because it was bear in mind I was 13 years old. This was 1953.
Yeah.
before interstate, but my father had gotten a new vehicle, and we had some friends who had just moved to Los Angeles and San Diego, and then they invited us to come visit, and we thought it would be an interesting road trip. Bear in mind, this is before interstate, this is before gas station, motels and cafes. To eat, we looked for truck stops where truckers were parked for cafes and stuff. All the roads went through the main cities and stuff. It was a long trip. Took us 5 days to get there. But our very first, and we AAA arranged.
Yes, yeah.
It was a AAA.
Yes, it was.
AAA arranged a map. The AAA was a big thing if you were doing travel. AAA, if you belonged to AAA, they furnish you with maps, where to go so far each day, where you should stop, what you should stop to see, and if you wanted to come back a different way, they did a circuit for you. We followed the AAA map. The first tourist attraction they wanted us to stop at was Carlsbad Caverns. Now, I knew nothing about caves, but when I went on that excursion, and back then, you walked in, you spent the day walking around, but then you took an elevator back. Today, all of that has been changed. They don't allow you walking in anymore.
Really?
Because it's too long and too dangerous, and so many people are not equipped to do this. At any rate, to make the point I'm trying to make, that exposure to the park naturalists who were doing the tour, that exposure ignited what became a passion, and that was they became role models. All I could think of, my God, these people spend their days on a job doing such wondrous things. Mm-hmm. And then after the trip, we went outside and had a walk in the Chihuahuan Desert where we saw a rattlesnake.
Mm-hmm.
And the park rangers told us how we don't kill our rattlesnake because it's a national park. And he took his little stick and pushed him on the side of the road. We protect everything, even rocks here. You don't pick up rocks around or anything. I thought, these people spend their days doing this. And they have such enthusiasm. And that experience in the cave where when they're lecturing, they give certain places you would stop and you wouldn't sit, you'd stand there for a few minutes and they'd give you some explanation as to what you're looking at. And one was to show you what pure, abject darkness and silence is like. And he said, now I'm going to turn off the lights in this cave, in this room, and let you see, and don't anyone say anything. Don't gasp, don't do anything. And he said, everybody, just remember, it's going to be safe. And he did. And I remember, I think I remember.
You wrote that you remembered.
I wrote that I remember. Taking my hand and putting it in front of my face and waving it, seeing nothing. And I realized, this is darkness. And listening, there was nothing. Except now and then you'd hear a drop of water fall from one of the stalactites. And I remember, being so shocked, I grabbed my mother's hand for comfort. And then the lights came on and I thought, my God, what an experience. Anyway, that was at 13 years old. I was in my formative years. Mm-hmm. That trip meant a lot to me. And when I came back home, I wanted to immortalize that trip. So I wanted to, look at that, Monarch will not leave. I wanted to recall some of the things, and I guess I was always an imaginative child.
Yes.
So I wrote a fictitious story.
Yes.
And I called it The Cave. And it's a story about me and my brother in the foothills of Los Angeles and the San Gabriel Mountains, me chasing butterflies. Even back then I had a net. Because I remember seeing some butterflies on the way to the trip, but I don't think I had a net with me. I don't remember collecting anything. But in the story I had a net. At any rate, and my brother and I are, and we see a cave and we explore it, and we become famous, and my father becomes a chief ranger, and it becomes a state park. It's an interesting story. It's a fictitious story, but it allowed me to bring in many things about my experience in Carlsbad Caverns National Park, and about my trip in the desert and seeing the mountain. You have to remember, a child of 13 in 1953, growing up in New Orleans, never having seen a hill, what he must have been exposed to when he went from New Orleans to Los Angeles in a car on a road trip.
Wow.
We saw deserts, we saw mountains, we saw the caves,
canyons,
the Grand Canyon. Oh God, it was truly as magical as one can get. I wrote the story. We didn't even have a typewriter back then. This was handwritten.
You have pictures of it in here. I'll put them up on the screen.
When we go inside, I'm going to show you. I'll show you the real thing.
I thought you donated to Florida.
I didn't donate that. That's here. I'm going to save that so on my dying bed, I will have that. That's dating back to 1953, handwritten.
By Gary Ross, July 1st, 1953 to November 8th, 1953.
My father, in November, after it was written, said, Gary, because I was in 7th grade, why don't you ask your English teacher to go over it and correct anything? A 13-year-old didn't write very well, so better than a 13-year-old does today, I can assure you. But even back then, there were some problems. So she corrected it, and she suggested, because she fell in love with it, she said, why don't you read it to the class, would you mind? Of course, at first I was embarrassed, and I was a shy person.
It's a moth for you.
And I got enough courage to do it, and the kids were very enthusiastic.
Wow.
No one made fun of me.
Wonderful.
And
and now you've
it was
published.
almost right. And now it included I've published it. It's in a book, along with some pictures that my mother took.
Yes.
Of me and my brother and my father standing outside Carlsbad Caverns. Pictures that and the actual little original cave story all should have been lost because our house was flooded with 4 feet of water from Hurricane Betsy in New Orleans. And anyway, that's a story in itself. But
it's within the book.
That's in the book of how, through some miracle and some act of divinity, that was saved. How? Don't know. Don't know. Not only was it saved from the flood, it didn't get flooded, but was saved by my mother over these years, and I happened to inherit it from after my mother died. My brother got it, and when my father died, he got these boxes of old photographs my mother had taken. Obviously, most things had been thrown away from floods and years and years and years. This was just 2015, I think it was. I wound up 2 boxes of things that I was saving and didn't want to go through it.
2010.
2010.
You inherited after in 1997.
2010. Okay.
So you had it for 13 years before you even peeked in it.
13 years. 2 boxes of memorabilia stayed in my clothes closet in my bedroom, and on a post Christmas Day, on a December 27th, when I was feeling nostalgic. My mother's gone, my father's gone, and I'm thinking, I wonder what's in those boxes. What pictures might have been saved? So it was a gloomy day, and I was sitting in this old carport. No, it was in this room. So this new room was built, and pulled boxes out, and there's a big manila fold of 1953 trip to California. My mother liked to take pictures. There's another thing. My mother liked to take pictures.
Yeah.
Now back then, we weren't dealing with electronic cameras.
Yeah.
We were talking with brownies and black and white little things that you got developed at a drugstore. I remember K&B in New Orleans is where she got her pictures. These were little bitty snapshots. But the lenses on these cameras were okay. Yes. And there were some pictures of me and my brother and my father standing by the flagpole, by the ticket office to Carlsbad Caverns National Park. And there are lots of photographs of everything. And there near the bottom of the pile was the cave. I looked at that. I had forgotten all about that, Sam. Forgotten totally about that story. And of course, when I saw that, my memories came back, and I said, this is a story I wrote. Turns out was the very first thing I wrote that had some literary merit, because my 7th grade teacher asked me to read it to the class, and established a writing future for me. But what's even more amazing, and I often think, oh, if my mother and father were only alive, because I could show my mother what her little snapshots that she took of her family. That's what she took, her pictures of her family. She wasn't a nature photographer. She just took pictures of her kids and her family, and she loved doing that. I remember my daddy saying, enough is enough, we don't need all these pictures. But here now, a few of her photographs not only survived from the 50s, but have made it into a national publication, international publication. I think she would be very happy.
Wow.
Would you like me to go get that? You want that on the film too? I could go get it. It's right.
Yeah, sure. While we're paused. Oh no. Wow.
This is the original folder. Now she's got a whole bunch of pictures. I want to find the 4 that made it into the magazine. We even went to Knacksbury Farm. That's me, that's my brother, and that's my daddy.
Giraffe.
I think I may have pulled them out separately. They're in a...
Yeah.
That's my mother, my brother, and me.
Wow.
Yeah, they're in a, I think.
Here. Got it?
Yeah. You see, I'm shaking. I'm getting so nervous. Bringing back these old memories.
Yes.
Yeah, photographs. Yeah, here they are right here. Let you look at them. I can't. I'm too shaky to hold them. There are 4 that made it in, or 2 made it in.
No, you had 4 in there.
There are 4 in there.
The cave, just 1.
That's in there.
This was not in there.
That's not in there, no.
Here, this is.
Oh,
you're good. That's you with the hair on the left, right? That's in there.
Me with my long hair.
Yeah.
13 years old. My brother, who's
wonderful.
2 years younger.
This is this wasn't in there. That's your mom.
And that's my mom.
At the same spot that y'all took at the flagpole, but by herself.
Yeah.
Wow.
My dad must have taken this. But you can see the quality of the photograph.
Oh,
And you can see
wonderful.
the edges, some of them show a little water damage on the
Oh,
edge.
here you go. 6/13/1953. June 13th of 53. Wow.
Some of them have a little damage on the edge,
it's
but
not
it's not
anything.
much. But they went through Hurricane Betsy, which at the time was the largest hurricane that ever hit North America. You don't remember? See, you youngsters don't remember this. It was the first billion-dollar hurricane.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Billion-dollar Betsy is what it was
$1 billion
called.
Betsy. You wrote that in there. Wow. How far you've come since. How many
And how
experiences
much
you've
was
had.
saved.
Yeah. Wow.
You put them in there.
Yes, sir.
And then comes the big one. Yeah, see, I wrote it. This is all recent, but I wrote on here so I can keep track.
Oh,
of
is that an
these
owl
things.
stamp? Very nice.
Yeah, that's a stationery from Baton Rouge Audubon Society. It's a barred owl.
I have a funny story about a barred owl. I'll tell you off camera.
Okay. All right,
Not
are
really
you
fun.
ready?
Uh-huh. No.
I'll not be able to talk while I'm looking at this. That's it.
Still smells. Wow. Now this is your dad's handwriting, correct?
Yep, my dad was a good at it. My dad had a beautiful penmanship, and he did that.
Yep.
Years later, I typed this up, so that's what's in here.
3 years later.
3 years later.
56. Oh, wow. Wow.
But that's it.
With the contents, you wrote that in the book that you had a contents page. Chapter 1, Home Life. Chapter 2, Wildflower Meadow.
Now
your
this is coming from a 13-year-old who
Wow.
has not written before, but and again, I'm not trying to brag. It's
No.
just like I'm finding it amazing myself. I
Yes.
can't believe I did it.
Yes. Now, what do we attribute? Like, it seems to me, this is a little tangential, but every person has interests that are embedded in them through their experiences, through their parents, through teachers, through friends, such as your dad with penmanship, your mom with photography. Those are all embedded in you, but you also have strong suits that are embedded in you as well. As in, whenever you were shown writing and got interested in writing, you just went. You knew how to write. And that's something that you played into your strong suits for your entire career. Photography, storytelling, on how to bring people in to care about butterflies. It's very interesting. And I think every single person has that embedded in them. These strong suits.
They have a DNA component, and again, we're products of nature, DNA, and nurture. We're amalgamations of those things, and each person is different.
Yes.
Because each person has a different DNA,
Yes.
different parents, and different experiences. Even identical twins have different experiences.
Yes.
They may have the same DNA, but their experiences are different, and that's why identical twins, they have certainly many things in common, but they have certain things that are very individualistic
Yes.
with them. And so, all I know is I have had a background in nature for sure, and like you said, with photography and with
Writing.
my father. How he has that penmanship, I don't know. He didn't go to college and didn't, but you don't learn penmanship in college anyway. Where did he learn his penmanship from? I don't know, but he had beautiful penmanship.
Yes. And
that was the story, and I had enough courage to read it to the class.
yes.
Today, I don't think I would have been able to
Your
do that.
microphone real quick.
I can't imagine it's
There you go.
me 13 years old standing there reading that to the class, or that my teacher asked me to do that.
So your dad penned this for you. You told the story? Or hold
No,
up.
I wrote.
Oh,
No,
you
no,
wrote
now
it.
that's
This
my
is your hand.
penmanship. The only thing he wrote, he did the title on the cover.
Oh man,
on the
I'm
cover.
13 years old. This is...
No, that's my penmanship. My
Wild flat.
penmanship's not that good today. No, that's my writing.
Wow. And that was back... You know
What
they,
he did, look, turn back to the cover.
Yes.
He did the cave and my name. You
Yes.
see, look at my name, how beautiful it's written.
Yes.
I could not do that.
Did you know they don't teach cursive anymore in schools?
They don't?
No. I my generation, a few years after me, were the last to learn cursive.
No, that's my writing.
Wow. Oh, it
But
starts
it's a
with the
corrected
quote.
version. In other words, it's not the raw manuscript I let my teacher read. This is a corrected version.
Yes,
So I don't know what the original version, how many mistakes was in. I do not know. I have no knowledge of that whatsoever. No remembrance of that. What did she correct?
Oh,
I
interesting.
don't know.
Maybe not much.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I honest
you
to
don't know.
God am blank.
Yes. Oh, wow.
But that paper and everything is
Wow.
dating back to 53. It's hard to believe, huh? Because that's 53, 63, 70, 80, 93.
72
13,
years, my friend.
72 years old.
That's okay. That's perfect.
That's why when I rediscovered this, in
Stalagmites.
that box,
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was because I had forgotten.
Yes,
I had
yes.
forgotten. I wrote this.
You discovered in 2010.
2010,
That is 47,
years later. 53 to 90, whatever.
57.
Whatever it is.
Yeah. Stalagmites.
I did not realize that I had written it.
I need to read this whole thing at some point. Wow. 52 pages. The end.
Even the end, I wrote the end.
You had a contents page at the front for each chapter. Seven chapters.
Would a 13-year-old today be able to do this? Think of doing this?
Yeah. Hopefully some are, and maybe some are
Maybe
watching.
some. Maybe some in these schools. Maybe they are.
And if you're watching, keep going.
I hope so. I hope there are 13-year-olds.
Oh, there definitely are. This is much different. This is like a summary of what
It's
it
a
was.
summary.
Okay,
It's not
okay.
the same story, and it's when I got a typewriter.
And this is archived somewhere too. A digital.
No, I don't have it digitized.
Not even in Florida. After this, could I take pictures of it? Just to
Can
have
you
it?
you know how to do that?
I know how to take pictures of it and scan it. Yes.
Because it can be scanned, right?
Yeah, through our phones now.
Yeah, no, it's never been scanned.
Okay, let me do that after this, just so
Okay,
we
when
have
all
it,
of everything.
and I'll document it and save it in about 10 different places, so that
Right, because it's saved.
yeah, so you don't have to worry about anything ever happening to. Now that yeah, okay.
Not that it may mean nothing to anybody in the next generation. It means something to me.
Could mean everything. Yeah.
And it could mean everything.
This is
I don't know how the paper is still holding.
It's
Bear in
wonderful
mind,
paper.
this has gone through 4 feet of water somehow.
Yes.
Where it was, and of course my father and my father and mother are dead, so, and of course my brother doesn't remember anything about this. So I have no way of knowing where these pictures, these photographs, and where this was.
stored in the house. Maybe the attic. You got lucky and
Maybe they were in the attic. I do
they put it with a
not
bunch of your
know
toys or something
where
up
it
there.
was. Or why. The interesting thing is, because I have always thought my mother and father really didn't care very much about, that's a horrible thing to say, didn't show much interest in what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, my interest in plants and all, interested my father, and my interest in butterflies, interested my mother, but they never promoted me in doing that. They wanted me to become a musician, because I took piano lessons from I was 8 years old till when I was 9 years old till I was 18
hint
years
your
old.
grand piano in the house.
And I have, this is not a baby grand. This is a concert grand.
Is it?
This is a 7.5.
You have it covered up right now. Why is it covered?
protecting it. When I covered it up when we had a hurricane a few years ago, in case my roof caved in, or before I had this roof. And I just never did uncover it. Never play. When I do play it, I don't know.
You have fun, yeah. Wonderful.
But no, I went to the Arena School of Music and graduated from that. I went to lessons once a week or twice a week, I don't remember. I think it was once a week for a while and then twice a week for a while, which was a prominent little piano school there in New Orleans. They have a certificate in my office from the Arena School of Music. So I was very much into classical piano, and my parents wanted me to become a classical pianist. And I thought about that.
Yes, yeah.
But I thought, after I started seeing watching what classical pianists do and the lives they have, that's not a life for a person who's interested in nature, because you're indoors all the time. And if you're on tour, which you have to do, you have to keep going to all of these cities, do concerts and stuff. You live out of hotels, and I thought, I'll just keep music as a sideline and make biology my passion and my primary. But they had wished it would be the other way.
Yeah.
So I always thought I was a terrible disappointment to my parents because I chose a profession. Not that they discouraged, but they certainly didn't
encourage.
Foster in any way. They didn't object to anything, but I always thought it's not what they had wanted, but they were smart enough and cared enough not to show that very much and to let their child do what he wanted.
Yeah.
I remember before my mother died, in that story, oh God, talk about a tearjerker.
Is it in the book?
I was in Brazil rainforest, lost, when I was...
Yeah, we don't have to talk about it.
Before on that trip, I had just come back from New Guinea, a 3-week trip to New Guinea where I saw the world's largest birdwing butterflies. My mother and father lived in Folsom, Louisiana then, and for Thanksgiving, I came back right before Thanksgiving. Took a road trip to visit with them for Thanksgiving and brought a live birdwing butterfly I had smuggled out of New Guinea.
What? And
it was still alive. And it was big. It was a female birdwing with about an 8-inch wingspan. It was still alive. And I took it out and showed it to my mother and father, and they were just thrilled to see such a thing. Anybody would be, because it's as big as a bird.
Excited to see, yeah.
And I hadn't told them yet. I said, now, I have to tell you I'm not going to be here for Christmas, because Christmas would have been the next holiday 3 weeks later. I said, I'm going on a 3-month expedition to the Amazon basin in Brazil. So I said, I'm going to be away for Christmas, and my mother started crying. Oh, not again. Yeah, I said, I'm sorry. I said, but this is a trip I have always wanted to go to. My friend from the University of Florida, Thomas Emmel, is leading this trip. It's a 3-week trip, but I'm going to stay after everybody leaves, and I'm going to do my private research in Brazil. And I'll be staying at the same place we are. It's a ranch that's been carved out of the virgin rainforest in western Brazil. So when it gets time so I spent the night there, Thanksgiving night, and the next day, Friday, decided, well, it's time for me to get back to Baton Rouge. And I remember going out, I can see it as clear as day right now. I'm going out the back door to get to my vehicle, and my mother says, boy, come give me a big hug and kiss. So I grabbed her and she grabbed me and she said, you know, I don't understand your love of butterflies, but I know that's what you want. Go with my blessing. And we hugged and we kissed. That was the last I saw of her. She died while I was in Brazil on an operating table here in Covington. But those were her words. The story is in the book because of what happened. I knew when she died. At the time, something, if there are things from this world that we don't understand, yes, there are. Whether they're heavenly, divine, I don't know. I do not know where they come from. But there is something beyond. There are things that we don't understand that influence our behaviors and things around us. Mm-hmm. I'm convinced that our energy fields allow us to alter energy around us. I'm convinced of that. Mm-hmm. Something happened in Brazil. To this day, I cannot understand. But it saved my life, and I attribute it to my mother on her deathbed when she wasn't even conscious. All I know. It happened.
Yeah.
I'm not making it up. I don't think I'm editing it too much. It was 1992. So it's still a long ways away. I could be editing it a lot, but...
But you have it written.
It's written.
And these are stories that you pulled from throughout your life. So is that one that you wrote specifically for the book, or you had it written?
No, it was written before.
You edited it some for the book.
It's been published in News of the Lepidopterist Society. Not Lepidopterist Society News. This is another publication. News of the Lepidopterist Society. Go with my blessing. Mm-hmm. And then I realized maybe they're not that disappointed in what I do.
Wow.
And then in 2010, I come across this, and then I realize, oh my
They were with you the whole time.
I was misreading them. They may not have understood what I was doing, but they respected it. And that's the key. They respected it, because then I remembered, my God, those were her last words. I don't understand your love of butterflies. Oh, and then she added this, when are you ever going to get enough? And I remember that. And I looked at her and said, Mother, you know I never will. And that's when she said, and go with my blessing. Yeah, I forgot that. When will you ever get enough? And I said, never. That's what I do. I think I added that. And that may be in the story too. I don't know what I don't know what I'm editorializing right now. I don't remember.
Wow.
I may be adding.
It's okay.
But I think I said, that's what I do. But there's a copy. It's 1953.
After this, let's
right, whenever we finish here, you can...
I'm going to write that down for us to do. Oh, a little ant on here. Now this is getting something I had written on the side here. Digitize the cave, we'll do that. Yeah, because we should save that story, my friend.
Yeah, I guess I should. Huh?
In a digital way, I'll save it. Are you still good to talk for a little bit? Are you feeling?
Yeah, how about you? You realize what time it is,
For
huh?
me, it's
no, you
fine.
don't have a watch. It's quarter after 11.
And we started at 8:45. It's been 2.5. You want to end it and close it?
Well, what else is important for this
There's
first
so
thing
much
you
else.
want to do?
Can I come back sometime and we can do it again?
Sure.
Because I have many questions that.
This led to, right? This brought up a lot.
So many. And things that I had before. Just thoughts and ideas and wanting to get your input on them and your experiences that you've had. Wow.
But I love what you said that and you thought about, because I don't think a lot of people think about that. We are products of our DNA.
Yes.
And our behavior, and we're products of our nature, what
Yes.
we inherit, but we're also products of our nurturing, what goes on around us, and even in the womb, like I said, with identical twins, because they may be identical with their DNA, but they're in each other's environment when they're in the womb. Each is a partner of the other one, so
Yes.
they're not the same when they're in
Yes.
the womb. When they're in the uterus, they're
Yes.
not the same. They're reacting to each other.
Yes.
And they're reacting to the mother's blood, the hormones and the nutrients coming in with the blood of the mother differently.
Yes.
They all have different reactions to this. And mothers and fathers certainly don't treat the two identical twins the same.
No.
Any twin will tell you that.
Yes. And
They're our favorites.
One of my core belief pillars of life in the universe is that everything is unique. Everyone is unique.
I used to try to teach that in my biology class.
Really?
And I don't know what. Just to bring it up and say, hey,
Each leaf,
each thing, everything, there
blade
is
of
no
grass, the soil
duplicate of
minerals,
anything
everything.
anywhere.
yes. And so is with humans as well. And one of my favorite quotes is from a man named Rick Rubin, and he says, don't chase your life pursuing other people's paths when you have your own unique path. And so that brings me to one thing I'd like to bring up as
To
well.
find out how do you find out what you, and that's what's
and
very
that's what-
difficult. People always ask me, how did you get into it? I said, for me, it was so easy.
Yes.
I had no choice. But for me, I've learned by teaching school, most kids don't understand that at all. They don't have any direction. They don't have anything.
And I think a lot of that is from distraction and confusion, where we're distracted by so much. But if you go and look inherently in yourself, there were things that you played with as a kid. I'm building my website, right? And I'm looking back to things as I was a kid, whenever I was coding website hubs in a similar way. And it's like, oh, now that my interest is of the same. Or whenever I had an old little film camera as a kid. All these things, I think one avenue to find our inherent interest is to analyze your childhood interest, because that's still you and it's still part of you.
right.
And following,
and that's
looking
when
back.
things are being set into motion.
Yes. And so if you're distracted or confused on purpose right now, look back into some of your previous interests and see if they still align with what you're doing now.
It was hard for me to get kids to understand. I don't know if I ever got anybody to understand that,
We'll get 'em.
But that's what I tried to do. I said, look, I'm not trying to make you a biologist. I'm not trying to make you anything here, but try to ask yourself, what turns you on and how can you make a living
Yes.
pursuing that? If you can come up with those answers, Donald Trump says the same. He may say a lot of crazy things, but that's one thing he has said that made sense.
Sure.
Find out what you're interested in and follow it. And that's what he does.
Yes.
That's what he does.
And that's everybody.
Other people have said that. That's other people have said that.
Everybody.
And it's true.
Yes.
But most people, unfortunately, most people don't have that luxury. I'm thinking of all the poor people
Yes.
in all these third world.
Yes.
What can they do other than work in a mine or a factory
Yes.
or a farm or whatever? They don't have the luxury to pursue
your
who they
interests.
are.
Yes.
But here in this country and in other countries that are civilized and technologically advanced, in a sense, we do have the time and the money,
luxury of
and the
it,
luxury to pursue who we are. And I do see now and then somebody the guy who helps me with weeding. He's 50 years old and an ex-drug addict and everything, but he loves plants.
Yes.
And he's not making a lot of money working for Clegg's. And I'm trying to. He thinks he wants to get out and go work for a plant or something. I
oil.
said, but Tony, that's not where your passion lies. He
Oh,
says,
your
I
heart
know,
is.
but I need money. I said, see if you can just
Hustle till you get it, till you find it.
maybe to get promoted. I don't know. I don't
There's
know.
some way.
I don't know the answer.
Just as you made your career and your passion, there's a way.
Make a career of doing this.
With everything, there's a way.
The title of that chapter that I'm telling you about is An Adventure in the Amazon and a Mother's Final Wish.
That's just my documentation for the receipt.
Oh, that's
when I bought it. Put it right there. So
I'm going to put it
I'll
right
get
there.
back to it.
But I want to read the end of that chapter.
Oh, please do, yes.
It's a quote from, I end it with a quote from the Hamlet by William Shakespeare from Act 1, Scene 5.
Yes.
There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy. And I believe that very, very deeply. No matter what we think about or what we think about as an answer or whatever it is, there are more things going on that we will never understand.
Mm-hmm.
Because if indeed this if this cosmos, if this universe is infinite, that's a concept we cannot even begin to imagine because our brains are finite. We forget.
Yes.
We're trying to contemplate infinity or gods, which are based infinity concept with finite brains. Can't do it.
Huh.
It's impossible.
Yes.
Impossible. But that's a beautiful quote.
It is.
And I try to live my life that way. When I don't understand something or when I think, how is this possible? And I say, well, Gary, don't worry whether you can explain it or not.
Yes. Acting
if
within.
it happens and it means something to you, then that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter whether there's a God or not a God, whether I believe in God, not a God, whether I believe in this or that, makes no difference. It's what I believe in that matters.
Mm-hmm.
The actual reality is something we will never understand. We can't understand reality. How can we understand the concept of a universal God?
Yes.
That's impossible.
Yes.
We have a finite brain. Does that everyone realize what that means?
Yes.
Can only do certain things. Look at that butterfly right by me. We can't possibly understand certain concepts. What happened in the Brazilian rainforest is beyond my explanation, but I don't care.
You experienced it.
And it saved my life.
Yeah.
And it means something to me to this day. And I can now appreciate my childhood more than when I was a child.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
My childhood means more to me today than it meant then.
Yeah.
And my mother and father mean more to me today, now that they're gone, than when they were alive.
Wow.
The regrettable thing, of course, is you have no way of telling them.
They know.
But it's a fact. It's a fact. So anyway, amen.
Amen.
Sermon complete.
Yeah.
And I wish people understood that. And I think butterflies, for me, help me understand my place in this thing we call the cosmos that we will never understand. When people talk about hundreds of billions of stars in our Milky Way galaxy and hundreds of billions of galaxies that we can see. Now you tell me how anyone can understand that. What does that mean? And that's what we know about. Hundreds of billions of galaxies, each of which could have hundreds of billions of stars? Oh, no.
Yeah.
This is beyond human comprehension.
I think that's the wonder within it too. is that you get to experience it without knowing.
Right. It's something that means something to you, and you don't have to know it.
You don't have to.
You don't have to know it.
Experience
to know
butterflies.
It's there.
Yes. Yes.
To know it's an unsolved question, an unanswered question. It's there, but you don't need the answer.
Yes. But looking for the answer brings the experiences as well.
And looking for the answer, and that's why I'm constantly looking for new projects to deal with on butterflies, looking for answers.
And the
that's
nature
what
of butterflies.
Every one of my 18 stories in this book is a quest for an answer about some nature of a butterfly. And fortunately, apparently, I'm able to put it into words and into pictures that some people can understand.
Yes.
Everybody doesn't have to.
No.
Everybody doesn't have to.
I think many who pick up the book will.
But for those people who are brave enough, or imaginative enough, creative enough to do so, may have a little thrill.
Yeah.
Awaiting them. That story about the rainforest and my mother, if that doesn't turn everyone on, they're not human. They're a piece of rock.
Yeah.
A piece of rock.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. And all I can say is, hey, imagine what it did to me when I was the person experiencing it. When I was lost, and I get this feeling that turns out to be salvation. Salvation for my life.
Yes, yes.
Imagine what that was like. It was beyond words. Anyway, like I said, so be it. Oh, this is yours.
Right here. I'll throw it back in.
Well, I hope, like you said, it's not the money for the book that I'm interested in. It's just knowing that there are people who do care enough. Right now, like I said, I'm not of the optimistic nature as you. I cannot imagine that and I still haven't shown you I have to get a copy. I didn't get that. I'll get that when I go inside. Mm-hmm. Copy of the magazine with the ad. I cannot imagine out of 20,000 people, only 2. Of course, it's just 2 in 3 weeks.
Yeah. Because I truly think that the medium of marketing has changed and shifted. But
it's changing in favor. This is
in favor of. There's a shift into the natural world of liking of our generation and many generations, and then also the shift of where the eyes are, which is the digital world, and how to play into that.
And maybe people are waiting for it to become digitized.
No, because people are buying records at numbers that you haven't seen before.
Really?
Vinyls
real records.
Yes, and buying old cameras and buying tactile books. It's the pendulum shifting back into the nature-loving, physical, in-person experience. Yeah.
I hope you're right.
Yeah, we'll see. I know I am.
Now the cover, that's my design.
Yes, I was wondering.
The center blue is a picture of blue morphos in a collection of a picture I had, because I don't have my collection here. My collection is in Florida.
Yeah.
But I had a box with nothing but blue butterflies, and I had a photograph of that. So we used that. Now I'm saying it's my design. It's my photographs. The publisher obviously designed it.
Yes.
And the other thing, where the blue is, the top and the bottom, is a photograph of a textile I have, and I'll show you that in the living room.
From Mexico? Or this one might be different?
Mexico.
This has curves in it.
I'm starting to think. No, it's from a weaver it's not a weaver. It's a commercial piece of cloth I bought at Hancock Fabrics, and a person made a quilt out of it for me.
Wonderful.
So it's a love of textiles, and two of the stories in there are on my interest in art.
I saw that later, yes.
The Zuni and the Zapotex, the textile parts in there too. So it shows my love of art. The butterfly is used in art and in textiles. And the designer, the publisher at Claytor's, he was a very creative person and really did very well with design. He said, well, so I gave him a bunch of pictures. I said, instead of hiring somebody to do the design,
let's do it ourselves.
Let's do it ourselves.
And it
use
connects.
He said, yeah, you have some stuff. I said, yeah, I have some thoughts on the matter. So he said, bring them in. So I did, and he was interested in 2 slides, because they were all on slides. Took slides back then.
Yeah.
And that's what he used. He combined the 2 images.
I saw this was published 2025. When was the release of it? Do you know a date?
March something.
Okay, so March. So it's very
recent.
recent.
It's very recent.
I knew it was recent, but I didn't know.
Yeah, it's March.
Within the year, March.
Yeah.
Okay, wow. And
I wrote the preface in January. And then we then went into producing it, and it was released in, I think, the end of February, early March. So it was very close. We worked on it very close. We did it very, very fast.
Yeah.
And there are some, which you may have picked up already in there, there are some editorial glitches.
That's all right.
In there.
A parentheses here, a comma there. I know your eye would catch that too. But that's all right. It's here. It's all here.
Because the way publishing works today, it's print on demand. We have corrected it.
Wonderful.
So, but the Amazon and Claytor's has to get rid of their stock but no, the latest version has all the corrections in it.
Wonderful. Now but
there are some glitches in it. And
that's
I
okay.
Thought, oh my
all the
God.
content is here. The stories, the.
We didn't hire a third person, outsource it to a person who had never read anything to go through the final copy to look, because that's what it would take.
Yes.
Because we could be reading from now to doomsday.
Yes.
After you're used to reading something, your brain is not recording what your eyes are seeing. Yes. Your brain is recording what it knows should be there.
Yes.
So we didn't pick them up, and we would never pick them up.
That's okay. There's nothing. And
we saved money by not hiring a third person, which we should have done.
That's okay. For the next one.
Well,
wonderful. This was quite the conversation.
Shall we quit then?
Yeah. Last remarks on this book that I'll pass on is before I met you and I purchased this book, I was looking for something to read that was mystical and magical.
Oh my God.
And I thought it was going to be a fiction book. And I looked, I remember my girlfriend and I, we were in Arkansas going through a bookstore, and I was like, let me find some magical, mystical book. And I looked, and I couldn't find anything. I got some Isaac Asimov little novels instead, and I put those aside. And then whenever I picked this up and I started reading it, I was like, this is what I was looking for. The mystical, magical adventures that are based in reality off your life experiences. Not based in reality, that are reality from your life experiences.
Told by a person who is not trained as a writer or a photographer.
But can write and photograph.
But who has learned to turn on other people to his writing and his photographs.
Wonderful. Well.
And when I received my reward, when I got up to that podium, I ended my remarks at the John Burroughs celebratory luncheon in New York. I said, and all of this by an 85-year-old who has never been trained as a writer and a photographer, and to come up to be awarded the John Burroughs Literary Award twice, the only person to ever have been, I find humbling, and thank you very much.
Wonderful.
That's how I ended.
Yes.
And that's true.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to brag.
It's not.
Just that
No.
it's not bragging. It's just that I feel very fortunate.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I do it. All I know is I just follow what I think I need to do and love to do and love to share with others.
Wonderful.
All right.
Well, I enjoyed our conversation, and
All right, now
I look
let's
forward
see,
to
what
more.
am I gonna leave for you? What are you gonna, all right, we can bring,
let's go inside.
Let's go inside and
All
cool
right.
down. And what are you gonna do for lunch?
I don't have any plans yet.
Do you like Cajun food by any
Do I
chance?
like Cajun food? Yes, sir.
One of my favorite places to go is right close. When I decided to put in all my urban wildlife gardens around the house, I decided to have some tile work done and to name the house. And so I named it Na-Pepen. Na-Pepen is not Spanish, it's not French, it's the authentic original language of the Maya people of the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico and of Guatemala. And it means place of the butterflies. Because in Maya culture, throughout the Maya world, butterflies are celebrated as the transition between this world and the next. And they have places in their world where they see lots of butterflies, and they consider them special places, and they call them Na-Pepen, place of the butterflies. They don't allow children to go into those places. They don't allow pets, animals, or anything else to go into those places. They're considered sacred because they're for the butterflies. And so I decided, well, how appropriate it would be to name my place Na-Pepen, the place of the butterflies.
Wonderful.
Gulf Fritillaries are saying, yes, yes,
Yeah.
we are here.
One just kissed my head.